Welcome back to Nightcap Chat, the pop culture podcast to talk all things comic books and video games, movies, TV shows, and more. Today we are talking the newest WandaVision trailer and some of the latest pop culture news. I'm Blade O'Neill.
I'm Ken Brown.
I'm Lance O'Neill.
And Lance, you look really confused.
Oh, your mic just now sounded like really weird all of a sudden.
Weird. Well, I'm not recording with the mic that I used to talk to you guys, so that way it'll...
Okay, I think it's your beard was scratching into your mic. That's probably what it was.
Some beard ASMR there.
Yeah.
But before we dive into it, just want to, of course, thank you all for taking the time to listen to Nightcap Chat. We appreciate your support, and no matter where you're listening to us, and if you do enjoy the podcast, tell your friends about it, share it on social media. Word of mouth is the way to go. Lots of things have been going on the last week, excuse me. Lots of things have been going on the last week. Probably the biggest news, and I can't believe we didn't predict this, right? Because they announced the She-Hulk director, and now we finally have a She-Hulk.
Yes.
In Tatiana Maslany. I don't know if I butchered her name, but there you go. She's from a show called Orphan Black. I don't know anything about her. What about you guys?
I have no idea who she is.
I mean, I know that Orphan Black's got a pretty solid following, a little bit of I would say a supernatural type of cult following.
Okay.
So people that like Orphan Black really are diehard Orphan Black fans. And so as I said too, from what I've been reading online, the Orphan Black fans are uber excited about seeing her as She-Hulk. So
okay.
I think that they may know more than we do on it, but that's kind of a positive first step when you see the fans of that actress kind of going yeah, that's cool. We're excited. We're on board with that.
I mean, so go on.
I think she looks fine, I guess, for the role. I know everyone's shorter than they're supposed to be in the MCU, according to the comic books, but she's pretty short to play someone who's She-Hulk. And then if you're going to make her, obviously, at some point transform into She-Hulk, are you going to make her get significantly tall? She's going to grow 2 feet? How are you going to do that? Or are you going to keep it 5'4" She-Hulk?
No.
I think you're going to see a lot of the Mark Ruffalo type of thing, too, is because they really just use computer animation of Mark Ruffalo's body and then just blow it up to look like the Hulk as much as they can. So I think you'll see a lot of that for She-Hulk, too. So I was thinking the same thing. This girl's, very kind of fragile looking. I shouldn't say that because I don't know her, how she is as a real life person. And I'm sure she's super strong personality and a willed person. But I know what you mean. She looks kind of fragile, but the Disney movie magic can, make anybody what they need them to be when it seems to special effects these days.
Yeah, she just looks kind of short. That's the only thing I'd say.
Yeah, because you look at She-Hulk and you think wow. I even feel like Jennifer Walters herself looked pretty tall.
Yeah.
I do really dig that she has somewhat of a fan base, but she's not necessarily a household name, and I think that's really fun because for those of us who don't watch Orphan Black or familiar with her other work, we're only going to see She-Hulk or Jennifer Walters, and that's really fun, and we had that with Thor, we had that with Chris Hemsworth, right? Because nobody knew Chris Hemsworth was, before Thor, that's just a fact. I think sometimes with these characters, there's a certain strategy to it. It's not distracting,
right?
And like you said, we're going to probably have this big, CGI character, right? So now this is somebody whose stardom isn't going to get in the way of her playing a CGI character once she does transform, right? Because she doesn't always go back and forth like Bruce Banner does. She likes being hulked out, which is cool. She-Hulk's a cool character. Yeah, I was a little concerned that she was short too, because I just thought Jennifer Walters was tall. I will say, if you look up pictures of her and Mark Ruffalo, I can see them being related, and I think that's why they chose her.
Yeah, this could be definitely a big part. You definitely don't want to choose someone that's oh, you guys look like you couldn't be any related at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see that. I wonder if she's for playing Jennifer Walters, if she's going to get in some type of like intense workout, if they're going to try to make her look a little buff for a little bit, just as like a rig as Jennifer Walters, or not. I don't know. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't really matter too a whole much as long as they do She-Hulk right. But I don't know. I'm excited. It's cool.
So I kind of could see a comparison. Do you ever see the TV show Glow on Netflix?
No.
Nope.
Like Allison Brie, who was on Community as supposedly, when we saw in Community,
yeah,
she was like the young, naive, college student that was kind of just there, but just kind of, quirky personality. But then when she gets into Glow, I mean, she's obviously in the ring wrestling with other wrestlers, with women that are, of all different sizes. But it's you saw her bulk up a little bit for that role to get into the ring with other wrestlers. And I think as the two, you may obviously see the same thing, hopefully, with Jennifer Walters. What is her actress name again, too? I apologize.
Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah, Tatiana Maslany.
Maslany? I don't know.
Like a lot of the actors in Hollywood and actresses in Hollywood, they once they get the role, they embrace it, especially a Marvel role.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we necessarily need it for She-Hulk as you would like Captain Marvel, or Wonder Woman, just because of the CG aspect. I mean, especially look at Bruce Banner. I mean, Bruce Banner, especially like Edward Norton's Bruce Banner, there's a stark contrast, and he is skinny.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. I mean, if you were gonna have someone bulky, cast like Gina Carano, as She-Hulk. I mean, she's already, like really well built. I almost wouldn't mind like not even making her too much bigger. And she would have been an awesome She-Hulk. But I mean, this is gonna be fun. We'll see how she does.
She could have been too buff for Jennifer
right.
Walters.
I mean, sure. Yes. I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, at this point, yeah. So now save her for Titania or something, right? Let her be a She-Hulk villain. That might be fun.
Yeah, and she seems to maybe she doesn't mind playing like not exactly a major role, but a smaller role.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how she was in
The Mandalorian. Yep. No, it'll be fun. So Lance, you were telling me some really big news, and did that break today?
I think it broke today.
I'll let you take the lead on it.
So Microsoft decided to buy Bethesda Games. And they purchased them for a $7.5 billion.
Jeez.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know why you think it's so ridiculous.
That seems like so much for Bethesda. Like, they're buying what? Skyrim and Fallout.
Wolfenstein, Doom, Dishonored. Okay. Those aren't huge games, but I mean they have fan bases. Those games.
Okay,
but Skyrim and Elder Scrolls and Fallout are huge games.
Disney bought Lucasfilm for $4 billion.
Okay, but that
Star
was like
Wars, and we're not just
movie rights though, isn't it?
But no, it's not. It's the rights. So like that's merchandise. That's toys, theme parks. One of the biggest franchises in the world.
I think that was a little different because I mean that's a company buying you, saying, "Hey, we have the reach already to do this." Or if not, they would have had to have made deals with this person, made deals with that person to make the money and make the profits of $4 billion. I mean, that was on George Lucas, right? Isn't he the one that? I mean, that was the deal he made. He wanted the money, and that was it, right?
Yeah.
So
got $4 billion.
Right. So I think it's a little different with the. I don't know. To me, it's a little different with the gaming company. I think what they paid was fine. I don't see how it's a lot. I don't think it's even a lot of money.
I don't see them. How long is it going to take to recoup $7 billion?
Well,
the
game Skyrim came out how long ago?
It was a long time ago, and all they've been doing with that is
10 years.
beat a dead horse by re-releasing it over and over again. They
And
released
it's the 19th highest selling game of all time.
because they released it 10 times.
Okay,
And
but
then
they've
did it again in VR.
Can I say something? Why they made paid $7 billion? Those games you announced were all successful games by those companies, right?
Yeah, by just the one company.
By the company that Microsoft bought, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Right. You know much more about this than I do.
Mm-hmm.
My speculation is that they shared a bunch of plans of games they have in the works. And based off their track record of previous games they sold, that's where they see the billions of dollars coming in based off of how many subscribers, copies, online gamers. Do you know, it's like they say, hey, we've got plans for the next 20 years of product releases that, look at our track record, have easily surpassed what you're paying for this product right now. Just a thought.
Interesting.
Yeah, and if you take all the Elder Scroll games and all the Fallout games and the number of copies that they sold, you're looking at 88 million copies. Okay. You times that by like $60 per game, that's $5.1 billion. In just those two franchises of the games that probably those games came out, within the last 10 years. So in the last 10 years, they've made $5 billion basically almost in sales for those two games. And you're talking about inflation, how much money they're going to make in the future. I think if they can keep games like Elder Scrolls and Fallout going and do a good job with it, it's going to help. And don't forget, this is Microsoft buying them, right? So if Microsoft's buying them, what are they doing?
They're obviously going to reach out to a huge new audience too, as well. They're going to also do like subscription fees. What are you getting at?
They're trying so hard with the Xbox coming out to make sure people go to Xbox and not PlayStation. So these games are now going to be probably Xbox exclusive.
Yes, definitely.
These games PlayStation's not going to have the rights to any of these games. So if anyone who's a fan of Elder Scrolls or Fallout is going to have to buy an Xbox now. So now they're hoping it's going to not only pull in money that way, but they're hoping they're going to get people away from PlayStation.
You're absolutely right. What they just did was they sold Xboxes.
Right.
That's what that did. That sold Xboxes.
Yeah, and they know they're going to make money eventually off those games, and it's going to help sell Xboxes.
Because really all they had going for them exclusively was Halo, and then that really declined, and now this new one looks good, but was that enough to sell Xboxes? Because PlayStation's looking great right now.
Yeah, and not for nothing, they had to push back Halo. So it's not going to get released this year. It's getting released next year.
Interesting. Yeah, well, yeah, okay, you guys tucked me into it a little bit. It just still seemed a little steep, but I mean, yeah, like to Ken's point, maybe there's more coming that they're just kind of betting on,
And plus, we also don't know the negotiations. Maybe Bethesda wasn't interested really in selling, but they kind of said, hey, give me a number to force my hand and I'll sell, and that's just what it was,
Yep, gonna make them an offer they can't refuse. So the big trailer drop yesterday or the day before yesterday, depending on when you're listening to this, we got a new WandaVision trailer, and I wasn't going to watch it. I didn't want to watch it. For these Disney Plus things, like, I'm sold. I'm gonna go do it. But when my wife said, like, there's something in the trailer, I'm like, well, just tell me, because I'm gonna see a screenshot of it anyway. And she told me there's a bottle of wine, and it has French words on it. And I know, you kind of speak French, so like maybe you would catch this, but it says, Maison du, some M word, which is house of M. And literally I got chills up my arms and over my whole body. And I was just so excited. I watched the trailer.
Yes.
I'm stoked.
Dude, the trailer is amazing.
Yeah, so I've been excited about this show since they first did the trailer during the Super Bowl. I mean, this is like 9 months later, we're getting the second trailer finally, which is pretty exciting. I know it's been a pandemic year, so we probably would have seen this a lot quicker if it wasn't for the pandemic and getting everything done.
Yep.
But man, dude, it's the anticipation's been building for quite a long time here, and it's going to be pretty epic once it drops. I mean, this could be, as I said too, as good and if not better than what people see in the Mandalorian fan base with the Marvel movies' next step happening in WandaVision once it drops.
And those graphics in the TV show are great.
Oh my gosh, it looks amazing.
It looks fantastic.
Yes, Vision looks unbelievable still, just like you're watching, once again, more extension of the movie. And I love the TV show vignettes of the different eras, that we're going to be seeing during this season. I mean, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I'd love to see a different TV show vibe out of each episode of her trying to figure out what real reality she's supposed to be in. I mean, can you imagine if we get like a little hint of Magneto, like you said, House of M? The Magneto hint comes from this TV show.
Man, I mean, not to say we predicted this or anything, because I mean, it is obvious, that this might have had to do with House of M, just because obviously this was some kind of distorted reality with her and Vision, right? But I mean, now they're saying it. It's House of M, like it's right there in the trailer.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, there's so many possible things on the table, and it's crazy how excited we are from this trailer that really didn't show too much.
Yes.
Like there's still just more questions than answers on anything. Of course it sets the mood, when it opens up. They're playing is it Twilight Time by the Platters. And like it's just yes, absolutely great song. But just it immediately hooks you in. It's gonna be so weird, and I hesitate to call it a risk, because I don't know that's risk, but it's really something different. It's gonna be interesting to see what this turns out to be.
I think with the recent success of certain shows like oh my gosh, I literally had the name of the show and now it left me. Something Black, right? The show where like every episode's different.
Oh, Black Mirror.
Black Mirror.
Yes. People love that show, right? It was like there was always something different. It was like a weird, different, like alternate universe type thing. And I feel like this is almost similar to that, right? Where it's like every episode you're going to get like, oh, it's going to be like a black and white TV show, or you're going to get this type of TV show or whatever, and it's just her twisting and changing either reality itself or her own reality, and then somehow obviously something's going to get spewed into the actual reality, right? Whether she's going to somehow recreate Vision and put him back into the universe, which is, I don't know, seemed like that might have been in the trailer, who knows? Or she's going to pull the mutants out of the Fox universe and put them into the MCU, or just create mutants or whatever. Or I don't know, like who knows what they're going to do? There's so many variables, but it just looks so good.
Yeah, I just can't wait for the reveal where she says "dad" to somebody inside of this television show, because it looked like they're meeting with the parents type of thing, or it was actually just neighbors in the town. Yeah. But that's almost like a tease for, okay, that reality is in a small town. What's going to happen when she does the episode where she introduces her boyfriend/husband to the parents type of thing? And it's, I don't know. It's just, I think there's a lot of potential for, as you said too, this is going to be the road, not the road, but a potential road to introducing mutants like you just hit on, Lance. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun to see how they go with this. And they reveal that Wanda is actually a mutant.
Yeah.
And she's the first one that you're seeing in the Marvel Universe.
Well, so there's something very meta about House of M. When this event happened in the comics, as far as the movies go, like the movies are a big moneymaker. And we know, from people like, I want to say like Chris Claremont and such, like they said, like, we don't want to put any new characters in X books because that just gives Fox movie rights, which says a lot about the deal they had. And at the time of House of M, the mutant movie rights were at Fox. So House of M was a way to just get rid of the X-Men. You know, is to get rid of mutants. No more mutants. And then there were no more mutants, right? And that was the same time that retconned her being Magneto's daughter and stuff, right? Like that was a temporary retcon, right? Yeah. And then now she's an Inhuman. Am I right in saying that?
That's a good
I don't know about that. I thought she's now back to Magneto's daughter.
Yeah, because they did that short run where Rick Remender tried making her the Inhuman rather than the mutant.
Yeah.
But I think after Secret Wars, they reverted a lot of things back to what we recognize the characters as, and not some of the expanded universe storytelling they did leading up into Secret Wars.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, regardless, my point is that this House of M was essentially a tool to get rid of the mutants in the comics, just to kind of, stick it to Fox or whatever. Now the movie rights are back at Disney, and now we're doing House of M. So now are we using the same exact tool to do the same thing, but reverse for the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Are we using House of M as a tool to bring about mutants, or perhaps destroy the Fox universe and then able to, reset it or something, perhaps? It's just kind of interesting to think about it from that standpoint there, is this tool of mutants existing or not existing?
I have an interesting thought.
Okay.
So since these TV shows are going to be coming out, and obviously they all still have to do with each other, right? All that Marvel stuff does now. And it's we always thought it was kind of weird, how are you going to do She-Hulk? It'd be such a weird story to do, and would the audience accept She-Hulk because it's like, oh, it's Hulk, but it's She-Hulk, it's so silly, it's so corny, And then you're like, well, wouldn't Bruce Banner know better not to give her his blood? Why couldn't there be someone else's blood? Because his blood's clearly there's something wrong with it. What if Wanda is the reason why she gets to become She-Hulk?
Huh.
What if she somehow, pulls her from either a different universe where instead of, Bruce Banner getting the Hulk, she turned into the Hulk or something, and then she's now in the universe, or just some type of weird thing, how she ends up making She-Hulk or something, to try to just twist it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like the original story of She-Hulk, the whole blood transfusion, right, for his cousin, it's just it's so hard to just be I'm not saying I want to change someone's origin, but I'm just saying I think it could be a possibility.
That's interesting. What if it just distorts reality and it moves his blood to the bag that she's getting the transfusion from? Just something a little more convoluted like that.
Well, another thing too you can also do with this point of reality warping is this could be the way that not only she brings back the Vision, but if it does work, could she bring back Tony Stark after the Infinity Gauntlet, or after Endgame, I guess you could say? And then it's that, okay, how far is she going to go with her success in bringing back the Vision? If it's something, is she going to start playing God, kind of like in House of M? She can do whatever she wanted in House of M. And it was, she was kind of like a passive-aggressive God in House of M. I mean, everything in that reality was out of her reality manipulation. And it was the funny thing about that story that the other important character in House of M was Wolverine. And Wolverine was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent in House of M. And the thing that was kind of interesting about the House of M thing is he got his memories back, but he couldn't remember anything because the reality that he's in doesn't exist. And he's the first one to see that the world doesn't exist. And then there's that other Layla Miller. I think she first appeared in House of M too as well. And she was a mutant that they can introduce as another route to getting to the X-Men in this whole House of M story, where you have Layla Miller's that mysterious mutant that shows up in the TV show that knows that this reality that Scarlet Witch is in for everybody else isn't real, it's just a figment of her manipulation. And so you kind of slowly build through the real House of M story into introducing more mutants like Wolverine, the guy that, for whatever reason, knows that this reality is not real, and Layla Miller, the actual mutant that can touch other people and make them remember what reality really is. And then that kind of starts more or less the fight against Scarlet Witch to end House of M. So pretty interesting type of story plots if they do go with House of M to pull Scarlet Witch out of this reality, but also introduce a bunch of mutants into the reality.
So is that what happened when Vision touched the girl?
That's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah. Like, wait a second. Like what you're saying just now, when Vision touches the girl, the actor, I forgot what her name was, when she's dressed as the witch, like she kind of snaps out of it and says, like, am I dead? Like, but you are. And then she starts like, maybe she's going crazy, but maybe she's kind of hooking. That's crazy. That would be a cool twist.
Yes, and then she was an X Factor after House of M for a while. Wow. I don't know exactly what happened to Layla Miller in the long, big picture of things.
Yeah,
but she was around in X Factor for a while after House of M until I can't remember how her story finished, but I'm pretty sure she's still in the Marvel Universe somewhere.
Here's the thing too: is like you killed Quicksilver off in like one movie.
I was literally about to say that, and that actor signed a 6-movie deal.
Nice. So that's obviously Quicksilver's coming back then too. I guess you could just.
I mean, how could you not? Like, you're going to bring Quicksilver in and then kill him? Like,
yeah, and not for nothing, he was an amazing. I loved him as Quicksilver. I thought he's 10 times better than the guy in the Fox universe. I couldn't stand the other kid.
Yeah,
and he was a major linchpin in the House of M story too, because it was all his idea in the original House of M story. I don't think they're going to go that direction, obviously, in the movie, but. Or not the movie, the TV series, but can you imagine if like Quicksilver is like the voice in her head, trying to get her to find the reality that's the perfect reality for everything to go back to. And I said too, that was House of M. I mean, at the end of the story, it revealed it wasn't Scarlet Witch wanting to do it. It was actually Quicksilver was the person that influenced her to change reality.
Interesting. Gosh, there's a lot
I'm a big House of M fan. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just going off on tangents.
No, this is the most exciting. Like, to me, like this is the most exciting thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe since we heard them mention Infinity Stones.
Yes. Absolutely.
I mean,
I always thought House of M, like once they got the X-Men, that would be the best way to bring the Marvel Fox characters into the cinematic universe, because, that was the first AVX was House of M, because, they wanted to more or less shut down Scarlet Witch's mind. The mutant side of things, Professor X wanted to more or less, hey, we need to make her into a vegetable so she can't do what happened in Avengers Disassembled again. And the Avengers are kind of like, no, dude, she's one of us. It was then all of a sudden, they all go like, where's Scarlet Witch? And then they walk into the other reality, and that's House of M. So such a good story. Astonishing X-Men and Avengers was the original House of M crossover. And just I said too, it was like one of the most epic moments that led to so many different crossovers down the road was because of House of M. I mean, the Secret Invasion. Did you ever read the Secret Invasion story where House of M infected Secret Invasion? The Skrull story?
Not that part. I mean, I obviously like Secret Invasion just crossed over into so many comics. Like I read some of the Deadpool stuff. I don't remember
what Scarlet Witch did with the House of M almost ended the Secret Invasion before it even started, because the Skrull planned for the world they were looking at, and then all of a sudden it was a world overturned by mutants. They go, we don't have a plan to defeat all these mutants. And it was something like that. They needed the reality to go back to normal to continue their plans, because it was a great story. Bendis wrote a lot of that stuff, and he just kind of put so many little layers to the onion to that story that rippled down for years to come. And so
what's interesting about that, though, is the fact that the MCU just introduced the Skrulls. So, and on top of it, who else is in the show is Monica Rambeau, right?
Yes.
Who's in the Captain Marvel movie. So it looks like maybe there's going to be some type of, relationship there. And who knows? We have Sword going into WandaVision to try to fix something somehow and have the Skrulls involved.
Yep.
I don't know. That's so exciting. This whole thing.
Show, it could be a huge setup for what they're doing in the cinematic universe coming down the road.
Oh yeah, definitely. And they already said, this is going to have like a direct, correlation to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Like this probably just sets the whole thing off because she's sitting there trying to change her little pocket of reality, and it probably just screws stuff up so bad. Yes. And and the whole thing with the Skrulls too is like we kind of had them as the villain, and then no, they're the innocent little good guys. Like we really haven't had a good set of Skrull villains yet. So like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do Secret Invasion. Let's see Super Skrull. Because like we didn't get it. Like Captain Marvel started it, and then they ruined that too.
Super Skrull could be, a WandaVision thing too. I mean, you can just have her. I mean, Super Skrull is just a weird thing. In general, he's like 4 different powers going on at the same time. That could be something that she just creates. Mm-hmm. One thing I find interesting though, because we've had. The only really failure that Marvel's had is the Inhumans movie. And I just wonder how this might affect the Inhumans, because in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they were pushing really hard for this whole Inhumans thing. And now it kind of seems like that's not, they're trying to turn around like that didn't happen kind of a thing. Like,
it just flopped.
Yeah, and it flopped because the people at Marvel Studios is great, but the people that were doing the TV shows, you guys dropped the ball so hard on that. Like you shouldn't be able to sleep at night. I'm sorry. You ruined one of my favorite superheroes, Black Bolt and Medusa. So, yeah. But I don't know. I'm just curious to see if she wipes them out and then then you just have the mutants, or if I don't know, because I want them to still do the Inhumans, because I love them. But is this going to have an impact, or we're just putting it on the back burner until you start doing a couple of years of mutant stuff, and then you're like, okay, let's put the Inhumans back in and try to pretend like that didn't happen 5 to 10 years ago. You just kind of give it some time to leave people's minds.
I mean, use it as an opportunity to bring them back, but just recast everybody. Everything in those shows did not happen, but the reality now of the Inhumans is going to now be dictated. Who Black Bolt and Medusa are. They're here now. We've seen in the comics, I think it was after the whole Battle World thing, they brought in the 616, they combined the Ultimate Universe, Miles Morales is here. It's like they took bits and pieces and kind of shoved it together. And I think they took the original First Class X-Men and shoved them in just to kind of have a new jumping off point, right? That was all the same thing, I think. Do that here. We have mutants, we have X-Men, bring in the Inhumans. Let's tell their story. Let's tell it right. Let's do a movie. Let's not shave Medusa's head in the first 15 minutes, like all that good stuff. I see Ken's laughing because that was
good, dude. That's the two. It's like that. I was thinking in the back of my head is like the time delay bringing back the Inhumans if they did want to kind of continue with the mistake they made and acknowledge it's still part of the Marvel universe. Is like if you have the Inhumans disappear off of the radar for a while, you can bring back Medusa as the same actress with her long hair again. She grew it back. You know what I mean? It sounds horrible to say, but she's got magical hair, so why wouldn't it grow back super fast?
Yeah.
When it's like, okay, we made that mistake, that was bad writing.
Yeah.
But same thing with something like the Ed Norton Hulk movie. I mean, that wasn't the best writing of a Hulk movie, but they kept on moving forward with the plot in the Marvel universe.
You think so?
I mean, as I said too, is like it was good, but they didn't touch on it the rest of the movie plot. I mean, the Ruffalo Hulk felt like a different Bruce Banner.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like that. It happened. It was a movie that was there, but the Ed Norton personality is not Mark Ruffalo's personality.
Yeah.
No.
And so I kind of feel like that. Okay, you can use the plots that were already happened because they didn't erase what happened in the Ed Norton Hulk from the Marvel Cinematic Storytell.
Yeah.
Right.
They're there, but they moved forward in a direction that was inconducive with what they were doing at that moment, movies and their storytelling and their TV storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially even one of the biggest part of the movie is when they tell Hulk to get angry, and he's like, "That's the secret, Captain. I'm always angry." Like yes. that little part right there was from the Hulk after the credit scene, where you see that he finally figures out that he can like control it and
Days
turn it on.
Without incident 0.
Zero. Yeah, it was pretty cool scene.
Well, another reference was it the Avengers movie? Yeah, when they're fighting near Loki's staff, and he said, I tried to, like put a bullet in my mouth, and the other guy spit it out. That was a reference to a deleted scene from the Hulk movie where he goes out and, Bruce Banner goes to shoot himself, but it goes POV and he turns into the Hulk, and he's in the Arctic and he smashes a glacier, and within the glacier you see a little Captain America in like one frame if you pause it in the ice, but they cut it because that's not how they were gonna unleash Cap, because he was in the ship, not in a glacier. So there's two references to that. But we have two unresolved things with Doc Samson being set up and the leader being created, and the biggest problem with that is the rights to Hulk movies being tied up at Universal. So I think that's what this She-Hulk show is also going to help, because Universal doesn't have She-Hulk rights.
No.
They can do Hulk stuff in the background of She-Hulk, and it's not a problem.
Yeah. What is Universal doing? Like, just give it back. Like, what do you, like, you're not going to do anything with it. Just give it back, Yeah. Like, how many years is it? Like, it's been how many years since they've had it?
Like 12. It's been 12 years since the last Hulk movie.
Yeah. So what are you doing? Just sell it back. Just say, hey, give me, I don't know, $300 million. There you go. Done.
They probably
not that Marvel doesn't even need to. That's the other thing. Marvel doesn't even need to do a Hulk movie. They've already showed you they did Thor Ragnarok, and it was a Thor Hulk team up movie.
Yeah.
And it was great. I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right. They're just probably going to do a She-Hulk movie, and it's just going to be like Hulk's basically going to be probably the side person, and it's just going to be called She-Hulk. What a little easy way to get around.
That is the perfect way with the She-Hulk TV series, to have Bruce Banner, make appearances on a regular basis, but it's not called Hulk. It's just, he's making cameos, kind of like the whole Captain Marvel Shazam philosophy. It's like, you can't call him Captain Marvel, but they're still Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Mark with the Hulk being there in that universe, he's already been in the Avengers, so he can be in the She-Hulk. So that's just what they're going to do to go around it. You're probably exactly right. It's that they don't need to call anything the Hulk. It's just he's going to be interacting with the Marvel Cinematic Universe any way they can fit him in.
And it's funny with the because we've already mentioned it because of how much it's correlated with some of the announcements recently. But one of the few people in Fortnite you can play as is She-Hulk and Jennifer Walters. So it's kind of funny that they made an announcement only a couple weeks after putting her into a major video game to try to get people used to the idea of She-Hulk. It's 100% intentional. So it's curious because, maybe Doctor Doom was in there, so maybe we get a Doctor Doom casting announcement soon. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
That would be epic. That would be your prediction coming true. Just 2 weeks.
That would be awesome. I could get back-to-back weeks of predictions on that.
I should have polled us talking about House of M, back to Super Bowl. But like I said, it is relatively obvious just seeing her in Vision, and obviously there's some kind of reality distortion. But it's fun to kind of really, really seeing it be alluded to, this early in the game. Like, I'm so excited. Any other thoughts before we wrap this up?
Yeah, one more thought for me.
Okay.
So, how I was saying, maybe she can create She-Hulk's powers or whatever, or somehow it affects her. But how fun would it be is like while you're watching, once we're done watching this, when you go and watch like something like the Loki show, which he has the Tesseract, right?
Yep.
And you're going to see him, the time variance police trying to come after him. And if while he's doing whatever he's doing, she in her TV show is going to maybe also messing with what he's doing. And it's just kind of like a double whammy. So you can go back and like maybe watch it and be like, oh, this happened in like the first episode. This weird thing happens into the middle of the episode, and it just so happens that in her first episode, she like gets mad and like this energy comes out, and it like messes with his reality. You know what I'm saying? It'd be cool to see how you just develop these things that to like come together as one little.
Everything interconnecting.
Not only that way, but if you think about it, Loki. This is 2012 Loki from Avengers 1 that takes the Tesseract. Now, from the way we saw the time travel work, we're assuming that this is two different parts of what's supposed to be the same timeline. Now, Loki is screwing up this timeline effectively by removing the Infinity Stone and doing whatever. So what if things Loki are doing are directly affecting the outcome of the future here?
For her, you're saying?
Yeah.
It's backwards.
Now, like, wait a second. Like Vision's like, what are you doing? It's like, that's not me. Things are starting to change, and now she's also getting even more confused because these are things she's not actually distorting. Controlling. Loki is screwing up the timeline, and who else is going to be involved with this? Kang, right? This timeline is just, it's getting screwed up over here. It's getting screwed up over here. And we're also talking about Infinity Stones. Why did Vision die? He had the Infinity Stone removed from his head, right? Now, that if Thanos can't get the whole Infinity Gauntlet, he never gets the Mind Stone, right? Is he suddenly alive? I don't know. I don't know. You're getting the juices going. Ken, did you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, honestly too is like that. I like both your guys' thoughts on that of where the ripple effect of the two shows interacting with each other. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is from what we're just talking about there. I feel what's going on with your time variance police or time variance authority, the TVA. I've learned so much about the TVA today, more than I need to know. But, I never heard of the TVA until this year, which is kind of funny. I mean, I've read a lot of comics, but I obviously didn't read enough Fantastic Four. But now I know that Fantastic Four 373 is the first appearance of the time variance.
Yep.
Kind of. And the annual 27 is the first appearance of Justice Peace. I had a customer bring in like a bunch of first appearances to me that were from modern times this week to trade into the store. And I'm kind of going, oh, what's the significance of this book? What's the significance of this book? And it's so much out there to know what they're pulling from. I think that's something I did learn over the past couple of days of looking these up and why they're important is they're looking for stuff that's digging deep that fans don't know a whole lot about. And so they can tell their story in a way that's exciting, but not going to be offensive to fans. That's maybe a little thing I'm trying to observe and realize a little bit too, is like, wait a minute, they're going with the Time Variance Authority. They're going with Justice Peace. Those aren't heavy hitters. Damien Jeff. Oh gosh, dude. I was reading that, Owen Wilson is going to play the Time Variance Authority director is what I'm hearing. Or is he playing Peace? Is he playing Justice Peace or the director? There's one of the two.
I don't think they specified, but I could be wrong.
I don't think they did either. There was pictures of him on set with Tom Hiddleston, and he was wearing the outfit that looked like it could have been the Time Variance Police, but they didn't say specifically. But if it's Owen Wilson, you would think that he would be a significant person of the time. He's not going to just be some police guy, It's Owen Wilson. You're not going to just. You're going to pay him to be like a major, like a head guy in there.
Isn't the first appearance of Time Variance Authority Thor 372?
Is that what it is on it?
Yes.
Justice.
No, I think it's the first appearance of the Justice Peace, and I think the Fantastic Four one's the first time they mention them, and then it's the first appearance of Supergirl in the Marvel universe. Because she's in there dead, and they're talking about dead timelines.
Okay, because I said too is like that. Going through stuff, just looking it up. I haven't had a chance to even totally read through all the stories yet. I was just like looking up research on it. It's like, okay, what's the significance of this book? Because I know it's the pattern of a lot of things he traded in were low level first appearances. Do you know what I mean? Or let me say low profile, not low level, but low profile first appearances. And he wasn't seeing I guess I could say the customer wasn't seeing the return on investment that he was hoping with all these Marvel announcements yet. And so either that or he's just got a stack load of copies, and he's told me he was just trying to pare down his collection a little bit.
Yeah. It's things because things like that just don't tend to go. If you look at the trends of certain things, they just don't certain things that are like that, like the Time Variance Police, that haven't really gotten. They're not even like a B or C list type organization. They're like a D.
Yeah, Damage Control is more popular than them.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
It's just one of those things that it's not really going to get much traction at all. Even, I mean, we've had some major, major villain comics that never got much traction. Like when they had the Malekith, because I remember buying a bunch of first appearances of Malekith.
Yep.
Another
that
great
comic
example.
never got traction because
That movie sucked.
the movie wasn't tremendous. But even before leading up to the movie, that comic never really rose because people just didn't really care as much. There is something to the popularity amongst nerds. Like you kind of have to know, like, hey, you know, I do know a lot of people like this. It's just maybe it's a B-list character or C-list. Those can really like just all of a sudden bump up. But as far as like organizations like that, it's so hard for those really to get big. Like it would have to be like a Shield first appearance, you know, or Sword, or I mean, I remember because I've had first appearances of stupid things like the first appearance of the Fantastic Car, you know, or the first, you know, stupid stuff like that. And those things just never change. Like they're just whatever. Nobody really cares.
Because I think like the thing that I was noticing was that the Marvel movie writers are looking for stuff that a lot of fans don't know about.
Right.
Like Malekith is another perfect example. How high is Malekith on the Thor Rogues Gallery?
Right.
But they used him for a story that kind of, you know, didn't do quite as well as they hoped, but they liked the idea of that character more than the fans did, and they tried developing a story plot out of it. Like, once again, the Time Variance Authority is something that really didn't gel with comic fans in the big picture of things, or writers just didn't really see the potential of it that the Hollywood writers see. Oh man, dude, this is perfect. You know, there's already that Time Variance Authority that we can follow up on that Endgame movie to redirect the direction we want to take our storytelling.
Yeah.
And it's something that is like more of an asset to their storytelling than it's ever been in the comic books.
And it gives those writers a chance to have some kind of organization that's not Shield, that's not Sword, that's not Spear or whatever. And they can do whatever they want and not have to worry about, oh, is it okay if we do this, if we do that? Like you have a whole separate entity, and there's a little more wiggle room without screwing up the continuity of a movie, you know?
Yeah, it's like another example is the microverse. I mean, the microverse isn't really a huge element of the Marvel comic universe, but the cinematic universe, it works great because you can do so much more with the microverse, with the fact of like the timelines, and, you know, everything is kind of building off of ideas that are not major linchpins to make the Marvel universe work, but it helps developing the cinematic universe to develop what they need to get all these characters together.
Yep.
I'm also going to I'm going to find it kind of interesting how when you have the Time Variance Police, how are they going to be what type of authority are they like? What are they going to be bringing to the table as far as powers go to stop people like Loki and try to stop them? You know what I mean? Like it just sounds like, oh, it's just some police. Like, but like, what do they have?
Maybe
like,
they work for Kang. Wow. Oh, come on.
That's true. They could be from like the 31st century, bringing that technology to stop someone like Loki. I mean, that's possible.
And now they're existing outside of time, because I think that's what they do. They exist outside of time.
Yes,
and I think Kang can do that too. So why not just make that connect? Like that wouldn't bother me. Like, who cares?
The master of their authority going through time. And I said too, like, everything's like threading together. And I said too, like, the great thing I love about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is it's so tapestric. I know I don't even know if that's a word or not, but it's just
a word now.
my head.
It's a word now.
Yeah, tapestric. Dude, everything like weaves together like a tapestry. and Marvel has just been beautiful about weaving this tapestry ever since Iron Man. And as I said too, it's gone into Netflix TV series, it's gone into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series, it's gone into Inhumans TV series. I mean, it's just all so woven together that you are going to see these new shows of the future do the next patch of the quilt and the tapestry of like their artwork of this movie storytelling that they've been doing.
Yep, you're absolutely correct. But yeah, I'm excited. Really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to talking about it on Nightcap Chat.
Absolutely.
But that's about all the time we have for today. We appreciate you all listening once again this week. This is Nightcap Chat. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Nightcap Chat and Nightcap_chat on Instagram. You can find all of our latest developments, episode releases, and other fun stuff on there. Of course, we're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, Stitcher, Castbox. And now, I finally got the news. We are on Amazon Music for podcasts. Newly released for their podcasts. So if you like to get your music and podcasts from Amazon, we are there. I know we've been talking about it, but I got the email. We're there. It's all good. The link works. It's beautiful. Ken?
Outstanding. Yes, you guys, thank you for listening again, as always. I mean, this is always so much fun getting together and doing these podcasts with you, and we hope that you guys at home are enjoying listening as much as we are enjoying doing it. And you can find Drawn to Comics in downtown Glendale, Arizona. And we are on drawntocomics.com and on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Drawn to Comics. And once again, thank you guys all for your support and listening.
And you can catch me over on Instagram and Twitter at Tales of Lance and on Twitch at Tales of Lance. Thank you guys for all the support.
I thank you all for listening. We love you, and we will catch you all next week.
Have a good week.
Good night, everyone.